What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wellness Week, Facebook Live. What's up, everybody? How's it going? My name is DJ Anthony. It says it right there. Look, I'm a DJ. I am. And my friend Stephanie, today on Mondays, we do a show called Mommy Mondays. And we talk about wellness as it pertains to families and also how moms see it, because a mother's work is never done. Big shout out to all the moms out there and dads too. But moms, we love you too. All right. So today, I want to end my career. I was like, I'm like, we got to talk about it. Like, as parents, it's important, okay? I'm a parent. You're a parent. A lot of parents are watching, and tweens and teens. And so, again, thank you for tuning into Wellness Week here on YouTube. If you're not a part of the YouTube channel, Wellness Week, hit that like and subscribe, okay? I need subscribers. I'm insecure. And Facebook, what's up, everybody? If you're commenting, we can't see the comments because we're using a third-party app. But anyways, so welcome to Wellness Week. Steph, how are you?
Good. How are you, Lon?
Good. So, I wanted to talk about this because, like I said, as parents, as a former teacher myself, and you and I and everyone, watching this who are adults, we were kids once. And I think in my mind, and let me just say this, what we're about to talk about today is adult in nature, but we're going to be very diplomatic and thread the needle. We're not going to be, gratuitous or overt or raunchy. It's a sincere talk about, you can't even say the word in America. S ends with X. Meanwhile, it's everywhere on billboards, magazines, newspapers, TV shows, the cell phone, but you can't say sex. So, so these are just our opinions. It's a conversation that Stephanie and I are having. You do you for your family. I do for my family. Steph does for her family. Everyone has to do what's right for their family and their kids. So I'm not giving advice. Stephanie's not either. We're just having a talk between two friends as parents, and what we do, don't do, what we think we should do, not do, what we think is our opinions right or wrong for our families, for us. So again, you do you for your family. But that said, I said to myself today, Steph, I said, I think there's probably three things I believe parents should teach their kids. They should teach them how to budget, finance, how to cook, and about sex, aka love. Those three things I think are probably the three biggest things that can make your life or break your life. Obviously education is important, but I know a lot of people who make $1 million a year and they spend $2 million a year. They're in massive debt. So making money is almost relative. How to budget your money, how to cook for yourself, and love, aka sex. So I want to talk about this, and it's an important topic. I think it doesn't get spoken about enough. I'm going to kind of ramble on here because I have rambling syndrome. I just talk. But Steph, what say you? I wanted to touch on, and you got some of the topics. When do we speak to our kids? What is permission? Sex can be anything from. It's not just intercourse, but everything before that. From hand holding to intercourse. I mean, sexuality and emotion. So, I mean, just as an intro, what are your thoughts, generally speaking? We're going to get into it, but what are your thoughts, generally speaking, about birds and the bees? As a parent of the kids. It's a loaded question. I wanted to give you the floor real quick because I'll go on and on.
It is. It's a lot there. I think one of the first things you said was, when do we start talking to our kids about sex? I think we introduced the topics of their body right from the start.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think we talk about that and we have that dialogue right from the beginning. But I think when you're actually talking about sex, and in this context, I'm actually talking about intercourse and the things around that.
Teenager stuff.
I think you talk to them about that when they start asking questions and when they seem ready to know the information, Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. And I would say also, I can hear my friends now laughing, and a lot of these people are dads and moms. There's going to be a lot of inadvertent puns here, folks. So like, get it out. Ha ha ha. He said whatever. Get the puns out, get the jokes out. I get it. Ha ha ha. It's a serious topic though. So, okay, cool. So when the kid's ready, right? Whenever some kids need to have that talk at 11, some kids need to have the talk at 18. Everyone, you have to know that. You hope you know your kid. But I would even say this, Steph, we might part ways on this one. I would say, even if my kid wasn't or is not asking and the kid's 14, maybe, I'm having that talk. I'm pulling that trigger. Even if they're still playing with G.I. Joes and they're not showing any inquisitiveness or interest, it's hard. Sometimes I would just be like, you know what, we're just going to talk about it, even if you're like. And I've had that conversation, with my kid in the past, and it was like, "Ew, shut up! I don't want to hear." So that's coming. And I think parents don't want to talk about it because, yeah, it's a difficult topic. It's icky, weird, and we much rather talk about sports to our kids and academics, and so. All right, so let's just get into it here. I mean, so we talked about when. I agree when they're ready, but for me, at least, I would say, well, when they're ready. But if it's like, hey, 17 or 16, the kid's not asking questions, I gotta assume like you're gonna just have to talk as a prophylactic. Here comes the pun, But yeah, you just have to assume, So, I mean, what do you think about that? That there has to be a hard line, like because even if every kid's different, but I mean, let's just say your kid's 17 and they haven't showed any kind of interest or questions to you. I mean, would you agree though that maybe there should be a hard line when you're like, listen, Johnny, Jane, we gotta.
I do. I think for me, that hard line was before she went into middle school. So that's when we had an in-depth conversation because, middle school is when experimenting starts and there's a wide range of ages there. And I didn't want her to be caught uninformed or, in a bad place. Right. So 5th grade was when we were going to have that talk. Okay. When she started to ask real questions was 4th grade, and she caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared.
Right.
I was having a bit of a stroke inside when those questions came up. So we talked, and then I asked her, if you want all of the information, I'll give that to you. I said, but I was planning to have that talk with you in about 6 months. So I can tell you now, I could tell you later. What are you comfortable with? And she said, I think I can wait until next year. So I was able to buy myself a little bit of time, but I think she needed that maturity wise.
Right.
As far as the way the biology really works.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, I spoke to my son when he was 13, not that he had asked, but I was like, in my mind, 13 is the red line. Boom. You go into high school, probably, like you said, they're probably thinking and talking about it in their own little way at 12 or earlier, tween age years. But, and I would tell also my opinion, as again, teacher and a parent, try to talk to your kids, even if it's a clumsy, uncomfortable talk, just because I said it in the promo in print. There's going to be one of 4 entities that are going to talk to our kids about sex. It's either going to be parents, school, the streets, aka friends, or the internet, the cell phone that you think your child's so safe with in their room upstairs or downstairs.
That's right.
They're talking to the world. So parents, schools, the streets, friends, or the cell phone, aka internet. That's it. Choose it. And in some respect, it's going to be a combination of the 4. But my opinion, get out ahead of it, because your kids are not necessarily going to be looking at porn per se, but they're going to be getting some wrong information. So whether they hear it from people who love them, then, even as well-intentioned as the schools are, and every school is different, nobody loves you like your family. So they're going to have no question, your best interest in mind. So, so those are the entities. My thing too with, the talk is that, I know I probably speak for a lot of people. My parents are good people. They're good parents, but their talk to me, and because a lot of parents will say, I talked to my kid. I told him, hey, don't mess up. Okay. You see, I talked to him. You see, I talked to him. That's not exactly talking to you. Now, if you think that is cool, God bless. Who am I to judge? You did your job. Congratulations. But I mean, the talk, and I think it should be multiple talks over multiple years, is clumsy and weird and awkward as it may be. I mean, it's something that could be life and death, and not only life and death physically, but emotionally too, can men and women. I mean, so, like having a talk is not only the birds and the bees, like, in school, the spermatozoa and the egg, like that's, can you hear me, by the way?
I can. Yeah.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
That's
I'm talking.
Can
you hear me now?
Oh, why is that? Now I'm being, look at this. They're trying to thwart my mission. How come I can't hear you?
I don't
You
know.
you can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I know. Go ahead.
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, yeah. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes, hello. Look
Hi.
at this, huh? Look at this. Ay, ay, ay. You can't win. Can you hear
Going
me and
off
see
the
me?
rails here. I can hear you. I can see you.
Okay, very good. I don't know what that was about. I think my headset is connected to this, but it's also
It's the
connected.
topic.
Oh,
The topic is
no, you know what it was?
so
My head. I don't know. You can hear me, right? Yeah, my headset got reconnected to my phone, and some spammer called, trying to sell me undercoating for my car. Anyways, so hey, you can't stop me. So I was saying, my family, my mom and dad, good people, but they had to talk. Hey, hey, don't do it. Don't. Hey, wait a minute. And everyone's, hey, you spoke. You spoke. Like, okay, you really didn't speak to me, but okay, if you think you did, you did. To each his own.
That's
So
true.
my thing would be multiple conversations over multiple days or weeks or months or years, whatever, and at least you can maybe feel possibly they can talk to you. And also, not only intercourse, we're talking about spermatozoa in the egg, like in high school, but what is permission? What is yes? What is no? How to read body language, especially when it comes to young men. Let's be honest. If a girl is leaning away from you, but she didn't say no, that means no, like she's leaning away, so it's not just verbally no, and that's the conversation I have with my son. I was like, hey, look, I was teaching him how to read body language. I'm like, if a woman or a girl is leaning like this away from you and you're leaning in, no, it's no, even though she's not explicitly saying no, or if she says,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's no. And I get it. It could be the other way too for boys. But anyways, to read body language, to read, hey, if they're not calling you back, it's over, buddy. Like whoever, whatever, guy or girl. So this is also part of the sex talk, I think, about what is permission, and how to teach our kids that you're going to be rejected. You could be a perfect 10 model, doesn't matter. You're going to be rejected, guy or girl. How to get over that, how to take rejection, especially in the most intimate of ways when it's like, oh, I like this guy, I like this girl. And now I think the worst rejection. It's worse and harder than getting rejected for a job. It's harder than getting rejected for a sporting position, or even like my friends don't want to talk to me. Like a love interest not wanting to connect with you strikes right to the core of who we are as a human. And so my point is, it's incumbent upon a parent to teach my child how to handle that rejection, because that's going to be the hardest when it comes to love, is how to handle being dumped, being let down. I've been there. I'm sure a lot of people have been there, but don't assume our kids know how to handle that. And again, they're not going to be an axe murderer, but the hurt and the pain of emotion. Anyways, what say you, Steph?
So
Permission we're talking about. Yeah.
kudos to you for teaching your son, as the mom of a daughter, the signs, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Of
mean,
of no, because no means no, and we talk about that all the time.
right.
In my house, I would say the topic of sex comes up almost daily because that's
What?
the age that we're
She's
in
that
right now.
teenager. Yeah.
So, and we do, and I talk about it very openly and very honestly with my daughter. Um, but we do talk about that all the time. We talk about permission.
Right.
Um,
Can I interject real quick too? I just want to
yeah,
say, not only, yeah, talking about permission, like how to read it, but now I don't have a daughter, or again, even a son. If someone's trying to make a move on you, guy or girl, whatever, also fending for yourself, standing up for
yes,
yourself, because oh, but I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be rude, or I didn't want to have that guy or girl not like me, or I don't know.
mhm,
No, 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 no. Mom and dad love you, or whatever. Your parents love you. We got your back. Either say no
that's
or you
it.
move away or whatever it is. Don't go to that party, whatever. And so what? That guy or girl doesn't like you. We love you. You have the backing of us to advocate for yourself too. I think that goes both ways. A boy or girl how to read language, body language, and words. And also that boy or girl also learning how to fend for themselves too. Not fighting to the death, but you know what I'm saying? Standing up for
Yeah,
yourselves. Hey, listen, no, we're friends, or I'm not interested, or whatever. Own it. Give yourself power. Because I think sometimes our kids might think like, oh, maybe my mom or dad will think I'm a loser, or my friends will think I'm a loser. Oh, if you don't do this or that. And that's, yeah. So I think it's really important for parents to let their kids know, like, we got your back. We love you. Like, no matter what, like, even in that, like, so, but go ahead. You were saying I had to jump in there.
yeah. I was just, I tell her that she has that voice.
Yeah.
So, no is no. Not to be afraid to say no. That's her right. It's her body. She owns it. If it doesn't feel right to her, don't do it.
Yeah.
love is not somebody pressuring you. Like is not somebody pressuring you. Somebody really likes you, they're going to respect your boundaries because they like you as a person. They respect you as a person.
Right.
So we talk about that almost every single day. And it's hard, it's hard because they're kids and there's a lot of impulse there. And
yeah, we were all kids once. I mean, no, I mean, we're all human. We forget, that, hey, you were 14 once too. So was I. Hormones are just oozing out of every orifice. I mean, your skin, your hair. And I try to tell my friends who are parents, hey, remember, we were 14, 15, 16. We were 20, 21, 22. You were saying.
And I told her that no, and this is what I teach all of my kids that I talk to, I should say, the ones that are in my trust. That no can come at any point in the process of any type of sexual.
Right. You could be kissing and then all of a sudden you're moving on and
now you're
that's
done.
enough. Right. So it's not it's not a carte blanche. Like, well, I didn't say no, so I'm signing up for everything. Right. You could start off guy or girl, you're kissing and you're hugging, you're heavy petting, and then hey, that's I'm not. So the person might not say no, but again, they're squirming, they're moving away, they're feeling a little uncomfortable. Maybe they're just stop. Or the person that's initiating it should stop, and or the person that is having it onto them has to have that power to say, hey, or like, hey, I need to go home, whatever it is to get you out of that situation. So, but yeah. So
and I teach her that the opposite way too. A lot of times I know that we tend to think that women are in those spots more and girls are in those, more
typically are, but men can be in those spots. Sure. I've been in those spots with women that I felt uncomfortable. I felt out of my league or in deep water where I was like, 18 and I was with a woman, who was it's like, but even so, like I was a little bit. My point is, you can't judge a book by its cover. People will see me and say, "Oh, he's a DJ. He's a cool guy. He's fun." But yeah, I mean, a lot of times I was very, very timid. And we can get into this, but I felt like, well, I got to be a man. if she wants to do, I can't say no. My friends will make fun of me. That's another conversation I think we have to have, particularly with our boys, of course, the girls too.
Yes.
But you're not a man. You're a sissy. Oh, you didn't move. She wanted to kiss you. She wanted to make out. You said no. My God, what a little wimp. Believe me, I got that ragged on all the time. But that's again a conversation, father and a son, or an uncle and or mother, or grandma. So you got to have that conversation. That no, it's okay to go at your own pace, guy or girl or whatever. Don't let anybody, and also don't pressure yourself.
Yes.
A lot of times we are our own worst enemies. Sometimes it's not even anybody pressuring us; it's us pressuring us. That we're doing things because we're supposed to, and it's time, whatever that means. But yeah, and I'm sorry, you were going to say something else? Or?
No, that was it. I mean, it was basically just you also have to be cognizant of the other person. So, I haven't been in a lot of situations where the guy has been like, no, I'm uncomfortable.
Well, again, guys are not any, they may be, but they would never, ever. I would never say that because can you imagine, and yours truly, I would never be like, oh, I just can't, although many times I wanted to, but I felt like, well, I'm not a man if I don't do this, or say this or whatever. And it's not, it's just erroneous and just, silly, but easier said now that I'm an adult and I've been through it like you too. But, when you're 17, 18, 19, 20 or whatever, 15, you're 25, we don't have the cachet of years behind us and experience. So this is where parenting comes in to tell your kids, hey, look, you might get pressured, or you might pressure yourself. Don't do that. You slow your roll and, whatever. So now talking about that, teens or tweens or teens are interested. We got past the permission thing. Now they want to do it. Whoa, this is the thing that no parent wants to talk about because it's it. Permission's one thing, but now we got to talk about the mechanics, and damn, nobody wants to talk about that's That's the holy grail of what no parent wants to talk about, the actual deed and how to protect yourself. Because we all like to think, especially, I go to church, I'm a Christian, or I try to be, I'm a sinner, but you know what I'm saying? Like I'm someone that's been well churched, grew up in the church, I still go to church, especially for religious people, Jew, Muslim, Christian, Hindu, whatever. It's extra mustard on the fastball because it's like, what does our religion say? And we have, and I can tell you growing up, and I'll say, my parents were like a lot, and again, my parents were good parents, but yeah, there was no conversation. It was at most, it was, you'll wait till marriage or else you'll answer to God. Like, what? That was the call. Like, can you imagine the complex it put in my head? Like not a healthy talk, I mean, so no talk at all. And so, but that's the next step after maybe you'll talk about permission, whatever. Then it's like, okay, now what do I do? Do I stick my head in the sand and say, not my child, not my child. We go to church, we go to temple. We don't do it. No. Meanwhile, listen, trust me, single people at church, at temple, at mosque, if they're single, young adults, they're having sex. Okay. Everyone's having sex at the place of your worship. 100%. Not everybody, but 99%. If they're single, you all need to stop. So, and if it's not intercourse, it's everything, in between. But so I think a lot of people like to stick their head in the sand, and just like, well, meanwhile, that puts our kids at risk. There's a study, you can go look it up on the internet or wherever newspaper, magazine you like, but they were saying that the highest abortion rates are amongst devout Christian women. Don't believe me, look it up. I'm not going to get into abortion. I'm just saying to say, you'll wait till marriage and that's the talk. All right, good luck with that. I don't know. And then if they don't get pregnant out of wedlock, you did your job. Like what about the emotional pain and you think you have love when it's lust and all the other things that come with it that, again, okay, the person didn't get an STD, they didn't get pregnant. So what, everything is fine. This is why, again, the talk needs to happen. And yeah, I get it. It'd be nice if people could, young people could wait till they get married or they're old enough, is what I told my son. I hope that you'll wait till you're, a young adult male, out of college or something like that, when you're more able to take care of your emotions and stuff like that, AKA whatever, marriage for some. But again, I think a lot of people just stick their head in the sand. And especially when it comes to the mechanics and the prophylactics and birth control. Oh my God. You might as well say, that might as well be like talking about grandma having sex, just not my kid. That's right. And so yeah, I talked about condom use, and prophylactics with my son, I didn't pull out the banana and say, here's how you do it. But, reading the back of the box, and hey, look, this is, and don't store them in a glove compartment or like that. And I hope you wait. But, it's, and to people who would say, well, if you're saying you hope you wait, and if you're saying you hope you wait till marriage, but you're going to, approve of prophylactics, that's just giving them permission to do it. You're encouraging it. And no, I think that's a straw man's argument. I think that's wrong. That would be analogous to saying, well, if you put a seatbelt on, you're encouraging reckless driving. No, you put a seatbelt on, you're not encouraging reckless driving. That's what a seatbelt is. The condom is a seatbelt. Birth control is a seatbelt. Not putting yourself in certain positions at parties or going to places where things might happen. That's a seatbelt. So it's analogous. Just because I'm wearing a helmet doesn't mean I'm going to go, wheelie off a building. I mean, it's protection, literally, whether it be a condom use or, a seatbelt. Again, no one's advocating going speeding if you're wearing a seatbelt. Well, no one's advocating sleeping around either if you're wearing a condom. And that's what you also talk about. Like, hey, it's not good to just sleep around. That's how we. My opinion. I mean, hey, again, everyone, I think most people would agree. We're not advocating that. We're saying though, you're with somebody, feelings happen. It's consensual, whatever. You're two young adults. You're both in your 20s. Seatbelt. That's how I see prophylactics. No one's saying to just, but a lot of people like to say that, well, if you encourage, prophylactic condom birth control use, then you're encouraging sex. No, we're not. We're not squirrels or penguins that can't think in a higher level. We're humans. We can parse that out. Like, okay, I can, if I'm going to have sex, doesn't mean I'm going to have sex, but okay, condom. I'll wear a seatbelt. I'm not going to go 120 miles an hour. we're humans. We can figure that out. I think, so, but so that's the, in short, that's the conversation I had with my son was just, again, permission, waiting, condom use. I think too, in my opinion, obviously condoms for the boys, but I know women who their parents have purchased them condoms and they were in their late teens and early 20s. So, condoms are used. I mean, you're wearing a condom for who? Brick wall? No, it takes two to tango. So, I mean, if a woman or, a young woman bought condoms, that's not a bad thing. I mean, but I get it. It's obviously on the man. So yeah, so that would be the extent of like the mechanics of it, but wanting them to, I think, telling your kids too, like, I want you to be healthy. I don't want you to catch an STD. I don't want you to have an unwanted pregnancy, but I want you to also wait. I think that's reasonable. I think, again, we're humans. Our kids are not dumb. They can parse that out. Like, okay, I get it. It makes sense. Because to act like, none of this is happening. You'll wait till marriage. If you don't wait, you're going to go to hell, which is essentially what my parents told me. I was ill-equipped, like I think a lot of people, and our kids, we think they're equipped. They're taking this into their room and they're going to learn about sex through that. Good luck. Good luck. The internet's going to teach a kid about sex. Good luck. So again, I'd rather have us parents try to address something on some level. And anyways, I want to touch on, did you want to add anything? I'm going to get into the next one about lust and love and.
No, I mean, I think you hit everything on the head as far as how we do it in our house as well. The only thing that I would say is, from the perspective of a parent of a female, I let her know right from the start, if you're ready, and this is something that you're going to do, you can't leave it up to the guy to come to the table prepared. If you're going to do it, then you need to come to the table prepared.
Which is what I said to my son. You got to take control, which is fine. That's awesome. Yeah. You're telling your side, and I'm telling my side, or people are telling their own sides. Take power, take control. It's your body. You have to protect it, right? Not to assume. And I think a lot of times, right, both parties assume, and now it's like, obviously the girl gets pregnant or somebody gets an STD, and I thought, but you told me, but I thought, I don't know, I forgot, I don't know. Yeah. Like, this is not the thing to forget about, like, or have a misstep on. You want to mess up on, like, I don't know, you're doing landscaping or you're supposed to do homework. You can kind of forget that, but yeah, I mean to. You can't mess up here. This is serious. I have some comments here. What is this? This is okay. People are coming up with some, I don't know who these are, but I guess just, okay. There was comments, but from the, I think it's a, what do you call it? One of those bots. Let's see here. Goodbye. All right. There you go. Yeah, it was like, I guess the internet, when they hear any topic, it's like, if we're talking about motorcycles now, like, on the comment section here, I don't know if you saw it, but it was like advertisements for whatever you're talking about. So if we were talking about motorcycles, they would be advertising we're talking about sex, and all this, these ads for, like, Viagra started popping up on the thing. I don't know. It's the internet.
Yeah, I don't get to see that on this end.
Yeah, I took it all off. It was either some kind of bot or some kind of whatever. What do you call it? AI or what do they call that? Algorithms trying to sell. Because we could talk about right now, we could switch it up and talk about pizza. All of a sudden, there's going to be comments about buy your pizza dough here at Johnny's Pizza. I don't know. Anyway, so, but yeah, so talking about it on both sides. Yeah, I mean, it's right. Yeah. It's important, and not to assume, because this is not something you want to assume.
No,
this is your life. This is your health. This is your emotions. Speaking about emotions, lust versus love. And again, it doesn't even necessarily have to be with teenagers here, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You're out there, you're dating, or lust is not love. You hear that a lot. But I think, funny story without naming names. So I have a friend of mine, an acquaintance. He's an ex-NFL football player, and he's retired, but he's probably in his, 50s, but, still great shape, chiseled, real ladies man. And he blew my mind. He says to me a while back, he's like, yeah, I'm going to now, he's been divorced, but he's dating. He's like, I'm going to stay a virgin until if I ever get married again. I'm like, what? So I was like, what? So he's like, yeah, because, he's like, he's been around, he's a man of a certain age and, ex NFL player, which may or may not mean you anything, but yeah, he's popular. He was popular. And he's like, yeah, I'm waiting. And I go, well, how does that work out? He's like, well, I don't go with the women to my house. We don't spend time one-on-one privately. Anytime we go out, it's public, either to the movies or to dinner or bowling or whatever. We go out on the boat, whatever. But there's always either people there. And he's like, because I was always in lust because of sex. And it always steered me in the wrong direction if you're looking for, some true love. And he's like, it always steered me in the wrong direction. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you do you. I mean, that's cool. And I think he's onto something. I kind of made fun of him a little bit, but thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I think he's onto something, because again, we think oftentimes we're in love, but really it's lust, especially if it's within the first couple of weeks or months. That's the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
But so what he's doing is he's forcing himself to get to know the woman, to know them. So yeah, I keep on getting these ads blown. I don't know. Okay. So, but yeah, so that's what he was saying. And I said, that's admirable. And I think, he has kids and stuff like that, and they're seeing that. And I think another thing would be like, just because you might have done something in the past doesn't mean you can't change if that's what you like, or that's what you want. He didn't say to himself, well, because I had all this sex in the past, I can never, he's a born, and then when we joke about this term, but he's a born again virgin, like he's cool. Like, I think he's onto something, especially with younger people, when you're 14, 15, 16, it'd probably be better to wait, because again, lust is not love, that if that's what you're looking for. What say you?
Oh, definitely agree with that. I mean, you can absolutely have sex without being in love.
Right.
But you can definitely replace that emotion. If you're feeling good and everything is, great in that moment, it's easy to transfer that feeling into thinking this is the person, because you have a physical connection. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right person for you to partner with.
Right.
Yeah.
And but it gets tricky, because that might be something that an older person, maybe if you're looking to get married or be in a serious relationship in your 20s or 30s or 40s, but now again, you're 17, 18, 19, whatever, early 20s, you're probably not looking to be serious. So now what do you say to somebody who's like, no, I just want to, experiment? Like I had said in the past, like, you probably don't want your kid to do that, but let's be honest, most kids are, and if it's not intercourse, it's
everything else,
sex, that's happening. So you're not going to stop that, again, better to talk about it, talk about the safety of it, talk about birth control, talk about STDs, how they're transmitted, because everyone's afraid of the big one, like, HIV, but there's also chlamydia, gonorrhea, herpes, crabs. I mean, a bazillion things, and so to talk about those things and how they're transmitted too, because it's better they hear from you. I have to laugh. Growing up, I put a post up a while back. My parents are very, 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 my mother especially, very religious. And also what I learned about sex, I think parents forget this one. Our kids learn about sex, not even about what we say, but they watch, they see. Not that they're looking at you doing sex, ha ha ha, very funny. But your relationship with your spouse, your partner, kids pick up on that. Oh, that's what love is, or that's what, being sexual is. So for me, I would, when I was a kid, just whatever, like I remember seeing my parents' room, nothing's happening, which is in their room, but there's like a huge Virgin Mary porcelain statue looking, I'm not bullcrapping you, looking down at the bed. To make matters worse, there was a huge St. Joseph statue next to the Virgin Mary and a huge Jesus and a baby Jesus. And I'm saying to myself, how the heck did my parents produce 3 kids? I don't even know. But I was thinking about this today. What that taught me was that, and some people probably would agree with this, and I kind of half agree, but sex is the most holiest sanctum, it's just, pure, only do it in the presence of God, in the presence of all the statues, and it's only to be done 3 times to have 3 kids, and that is it. And, and no, I'm serious. So I'm looking back, I'm like, yeah. I held, and sex is a special thing, no doubt. It's a powerful thing. It's to be respected, no doubt. But for me, I think it got a little bit unhealthy where I was like, only if the Pope is present can we all have, it's like, it was just, it was too much, so I looked at it like it was this thing that, and that's not right either, because, what happens, I felt guilty for making out with my girlfriend, or I felt guilty for, maybe not having intercourse, but, everything in between, or, you had sex and I'm like, I'm going to hell. And, yeah. So you got to have, I think, let's be honest, more of a, even keel relationship. And again, my parents weren't going to do that because it was, I would like to say, well, it was back then in the 80s, but I think parents are the same way now. They're just not going to talk about it. They're going to hope and pray, pun intended, that everything just goes well, and that, I don't know, somebody else will. But that was, for me, like what I thought kind of sex was growing up. It was like all the angels and saints are watching, and it's only to be done, if you want 4 kids, you're only going to do it 4 times. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, guilt was huge. I think a huge part of most of our friends growing up. I still am like, I still draw back on that guilty feeling from, from our Catholic upbringing and stuff like that, because it was so rigid. And it's very funny. Like you mentioned that story about your parents' bedroom. When I first met my husband, he had some saints hanging up in his bedroom. And I was like, take it down. Take it down.
Yeah. We don't need it. This is not an audience. So yeah.
I was like, take these down. Yeah. And, and he did, but it did. I think it brought back all that guilt. And I couldn't. I was like,
and the guilt is not only, I would tell parents who are really religious, like mine are, and is that it also seeps into just normal affection too. Sometimes, it's like, I also felt guilty a lot of times for just holding hands and kissing, or like, kind of making out, and it wasn't even intercourse. And it really kind of wreaked havoc with my thinking, because I wasn't given kind of an even keel. It was just like, sex is bad. And my mother would, make these comments about, look at those people on MTV dancing with their booties hanging out, it's sinful, it's shameful. And, I'm growing up, I'm 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm thinking, so really kind of, I'm not getting, my mother meant well, you know what I mean? But it was just, so I think there has to be a healthy respect of not only intercourse, but what is sexuality, like we were talking before, just about, love and affection, and what is lust and emotions. And that's the other thing. I mean, when we say we're going to talk about the birds and the bees, oftentimes we think like just the biology of it, spermatozoa and egg, or just the mechanics of it. We're a condom and birth control and STDs, but what about the emotions of it? And that's relative, because you could just kiss somebody and they can think, wow, they love me, or you love them. And hey, now this is where, again, talk to your kids, I would say, in just my opinion. But just because someone kisses you, they may or may not be into you, and even if they give you permission and everything like that, again, to what you were saying before, is a lot of experimentation. And we may not think of a kiss as experimentation, but to a 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, it is. I mean, it's a first kiss. You're experimenting with a kiss. And how does that make you feel? And, you understand, little Jane, little Johnny, Jeanette, I'm just saying those names, nobody in particular, but, they're not going to be your boyfriend, or maybe they will, maybe they won't. That's the conversation I think you got to get ahead of, and also dressing, like, particularly women, like, hey, you have the right, if you want to wear a tube top, or you want to be on a beach and wear, a G-string, that's legal. It's America. This is not some other country where it would be illegal. And so you have the right to wear that. No
and it's
man
not
has
an
a right.
invitation.
Excuse me. Correct. It's not an invitation. 100%. Now, if I had a daughter, I would ask her, please don't wear a G-string. But at the same time, you have a right to do that, and you have a right to be left alone, and you have a right to be respected. Or you're wearing a short dress or whatever, I mean, G-string is kind of an extreme, but whatever. You're showing cleavage, or you're showing a shoulder, or you're showing your leg from the knee down. Some people, you have a right to do that. You don't have to dress from head to toe covered. No. And if you want to do that, that's fine too. I have somebody in my family that dresses like that. Very, very conservative Catholic. And she covers up literally head to toe, and just shows her face only. Cool. That's you. You do you for your family, and you have a right to do that too, if that's what you want to do. But if you want to wear a short skirt, and you want to wear a short shirt, whatever, you're a woman, man, you have the right to do that. And you have to, I would tell my kid, like, no one has the right to touch you, to try to hurt you or intimidate you. I think sometimes you get that a lot. It's like, well, she dressed like that, and usually they're talking about a woman, not necessarily
Yeah.
a man. But yeah, well, she had it coming. She didn't. No, that's not. No, this is not that country. This is in this country. And obviously anywhere in the world you should be able to dress how you want. But we live in America, so yeah. I mean, that's the other thing, right? Like, yeah, how you dress is also a part of our sexuality, or things like that. So in closing, I think also religion's a big thing. I know that I struggle or did struggle with that. I know some of my friends do, whether they be Jewish or Muslim or, like I said, Hindu, or you want to do your best and follow your faith. And there's the crossroads, because people are human, kids are human, teens are human, young adults are human. I know some people that have gotten married because they didn't want to live in sin, and they got married for the wrong reason. It wasn't even lust. It was just like, well, it's better I have the sex in marriage. But now, they have a miserable marriage. You got married for the wrong reason. Both parties. How do you catch that and stop that, from somebody? Because that's also not healthy. Because now you're going to show your kids what marriage is a miserable thing, So, and if I may, I would say there's also nothing wrong, and it's a good thing too to talk about being like a what do you call it? Prophylactic, in the sense of don't put yourself in situations. Know thyself, and teaching our kids to know yourself. If you know that you're hot and all wanting that guy or girl, and they're going to be at that party, or they're going to be on that side of the room, maybe stay away from there, or don't put yourself in situations for yourself, knowing that you're going to maybe break and do something you don't want to do. That's, I think, another conversation to have. Like, hey, don't put yourself in a situation. Know yourself. Like, okay, I know that that's my weakness. And everyone's different. But yeah, like if you know that you and your little girlfriend or boyfriend going down in the basement to watch TV, that things might, well, then maybe watch TV upstairs. So again, permission aside, just knowing yourself that maybe you might get into something that you really don't want to, you're not ready for. The aftermath, so maybe don't put yourself in that position. So, but yeah, what say you, Steph?
We talk about that too. We talk about parties. We talk about, hanging out. Is it safe to be alone with certain people, a certain amount of people? From a safety standpoint too, but also just from, if you're at a party and there's drinking involved, you see that there's, other things, drugs going on and stuff like that. People's inhibitions definitely
Which is another conversation. Alcohol, drugs, and sex. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's real. That's, that happened when we were kids. So it still happens.
And we're not even talking necessarily rape, or that can happen. We're talking about, lowering inhibitions where you may not make the best free will decision, where you did give permission, you both consented, you're not ripped drunk, but you're feeling a little tipsy. You got, maybe you shouldn't be drinking, but
so we talk about all of that. We talk about, again, putting yourself in those positions, but also, again, that you still have a voice all along the way. No means no, always having that open conversation. But all of that is real. And, it's tough because, especially with internet, you have all of that at your fingertips. I think it glorifies it,
Oh, listen, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, guys and girls, it goes everywhere. Everyone's showing everything, and it's so sexually charged. And again, this is why I say now more than ever, you got to have it. A clumsy conversation is better than nothing, because they're going to learn it.
Especially, in the beginning, it's clumsy. But 100%. When you look at it on TV or you look at it on the internet, that's not what you're seeing. You're seeing this, this beautiful picture of what it is, or this really sexy picture of what it is. That's not what it generally is.
Right. Yeah. And to your point earlier, maybe it's better to even have some kind of tertiary facade, like shallow conversations about sex, maybe sooner than later, even at 11 or 12, not necessarily about intercourse per se, but like you said, about, hey, don't let anyone ever touch you, or hey, love is when some people respect each other. That's kind of putting the foot in the water, like you said, and you're kind of getting used to having that conversation, because in my opinion, it's really about multiple conversations over multiple years and multiple topics, not just the conversation, which is what a lot of people, I think, parents think it's going to be, okay, we're going to have the conversation. No, it's conversations. Again, our opinion. But if you're just tuning in, it's Wellness Week on YouTube, Facebook Live. My name is Anthony, the DJ, along with my friend Stephanie. She's a mommy. It's Mommy Mondays here. We do every Monday, and we're talking about wellness. This topic this week is about the wellness of our kids and our families having to talk with our children about sex, and what is sex, what is love, what is lust, and what is permission, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sure there's so many topics we keep talking about, but yeah. So I'm sorry, you were saying about, right, learning it through the internet, which is the worst, because even just something like contraception, they may say, well, this is a better way to do this. This contraception is better. Well, hold on, you got to talk to your doctor first. Like, you can't assume just because somebody on the internet said something that must be true. They got 1 million followers. They know what they're doing. No, you should talk to your healthcare provider or your parent or whatever to find out what form of birth control is going to be best for you. So it's not just they're seeing pornography per se, but again, what are the best medicines or the best prophylactics and things like that. And again, I think that's best served by mom and dad talking to their kids, or whoever's raising the kid, grandparents, aunts, uncles. It takes a village, really does. And I don't know. I mean, I know schools, depending on the schools, I know when we were kids, the only thing we learned from the school about sex was, two frogs meet in the swamp and the sperm goes, like that. Right. And when I got to college, though, at college, we had a woman come and teach a class. She was an ex-prostitute. She came in I was like, wow, this is yeah. I think all college kids need this course, because she whipped out the banana, the condom, talked about the pills, talked about permission. She shared her life story. I was like, bravo. It was uncomfortable as hell, but that's the conversation, or that type of conversation should have been had with me years prior. So big shout out to the university that I was in. But yeah, I mean, it's uncomfortable, but just, yeah, but I guess there's so much more than just the mechanics of it. Again, the emotions of it, your health, and things like that. So, but I think, especially teenagers, I think it's better probably to lean towards our best to wait, so you can concentrate on your schoolwork, concentrate on your sports, concentrate on your friends, concentrate on having a good time. You don't want to be thinking guy or girl, did they love me? And I get it, it's part of teenage angst, but the more you can just kind of shelf a lot of that until you're maybe in college or later, probably the better, because at 14, you're 15, 16, 17, be a kid, enjoy, have fun with your friends, family, going out. You don't need to be worried about, does Johnny love me? Or, does Michelle love me? It's just like, we all go through the puppy love thing, I guess. But, again, talking to our kids about rejection, I don't know. But yeah, so that's basically that. I really appreciate you, Steph, taking the time. I respect you as always. Like I said, and I think coming from a mom, it's really important. And as me as a father, I think moms and dads, and we joked about this off screen, but I think, and I could be wrong, prove me wrong, but I think unfortunately a lot of the sex talk falls on mom to have with kids. Especially if it's a daughter, which I think is counterintuitive. I think dad should also have the talk with the daughter, and mom with the son too, because they're opposites in sex, male, female. And, but yeah, I think, oftentimes it falls on mom's shoulders, to talk about the birds and the bees. And, I think moms typically are a little bit more mature about this than us men, because I think men are, again, like I said earlier, hey, you're not a man. You're not a man if you say no. You got like, and I think dads, not all dads, but a lot of them, in my neck of the woods, that's kind of, it's almost encouraging, like, yeah, that's what being a man's about. You even hear it in songs, rock and roll songs, right? I mean, I'm not gonna name the groups, but it's glorified, and again, sex is great. Sex is awesome. Everyone should have sex in the right time, in the right place, when it's right for you. Mutual permission. You're ready. You're not, some young teenager. That's not when you're ready. So, but as a man, I can speak from the man side. It's just like, yeah, you're kind of taught that from friends, the street, from the internet. Real men, do whatever. So you can't say no. How many have you been with, and all this stuff, and it's just so, yeah, it's counterproductive. It winds up, I think, hurting us men. Maybe that's a whole nother show, pornography and how, and for women too, but for men in particular, they see oftentimes, not every time, but oftentimes they see women as a commodity, as a thing to conquer, and even in this day and age, I think things have generally gotten better, but still out there. And you see it in the advertisements and in the internet and how we all talk to each other, and it's, again, not casting judgment on anybody. We're all guilty. We all human, and we all could have done things better in the past, and we're trying ourselves to do better in the future, whether you're married or not. But yeah, I think that's kind of the American way, kind of, maybe in other countries the same thing is, again, like just a very unhealthy look at what sex is, especially when it comes to men talking to men about it. It's like, you got to go out there, conquer, and you're not a real man. Look at that drummer in that rock band. He's been with this many, and that athlete's been with that many. Whoa, man, that's and it's wrong. But sex is good. So it's, how do you thread that needle? Like to teach a young man, a young woman, that sex is good, but.
Yes, I mean, sex can be good, sex can be bad, depending on the situation that you're in. But
right, and I'm talking about affection too, not only the intercourse part, but everything, sexuality. Yeah. Go ahead, you were saying.
But it's all a part of life. Like, it's something that they're going to experience at some point. So whether we talk to them about it now or later, I think if we talk to them about it now and often, so it doesn't become, in my experience now with my teenager, the sex talk is not really uncomfortable anymore because we talk about it so much.
Right.
So it's become a comfortable conversation for us to have. Right. So I'm hoping that, any questions that my daughter might have, will come up naturally, and it won't be the talk anymore, because we've been having little talks all along the way. But you're right, with my husband, it's a completely different, scenario. We're on the same page, and I keep him informed. So we're on the same page as far as, we don't have our head in the sand, and we know that marriage is probably not going to be the end all be all for when things happen. But does he have the ongoing conversation with her? No, I don't think it's something that he's comfortable with.
Right. And again, that's not casting any judgment on him or any man or any mom, but it is calling it like it is, right? I think, we're uncomfortable with it, especially men, when it comes to talking to their daughters and even sons maybe, but yeah.
I think that's a stereotypical kind of, way of things, is that we expect the men to educate their boys about sex, and we expect the women to educate their daughters.
And in many ways, it's the blind leading the blind, because we really haven't been taught, even when we were kids, like what is love, and what is affection, and what is sex, and what is permission. I mean, it's a disservice. And that's kind of why, not that this show is going to change everything, but I just want to do my little part and just be honest, and let's talk about it, get it out there. It's okay. Like, I'm still learning about love and life and things too, and we all are, whether you're married or not. If you're not learning until you die, then about anything in life, I think we're always learning, and so, but yeah, that's why I said, like, even if you have a clumsy conversation, it's better than nothing. Yeah. So your kids know, well, mom and dad are thinking of me. Another way to show that you love them. There's many ways to show it, but this is such an important topic. That it's, I know my son was mortified. I mean, mortified when I brought it up.
Oh, my daughter too.
I got him in the car, and so I was like, I'm gonna drive here, and then he couldn't leave, so I had to talk to him, and we did that a couple of times. But I always say, I'm raising you, your son or your daughter. I'm raising you, the 50-year-old. I'm fighting for the 50-year-old. My point is, I'm fighting for you to be, a healthy, good human being. I'm not raising the 17-year-old. I'm raising the 50-year-old. What I'm going to put out there you know, in
That's
the
a good
world,
point.
my son, my daughter, so I don't care. You yelling at me, you feel, ew, shut up. I don't want to hear it. This is disgust. It's my job as a parent. I don't want to do it either, but I mean, we give our kids driving lessons. We pay for that. We give them the best sports schools, the best tutoring. But when it comes to something that could hurt them, sex, emotionally, physically, health wise, it's like, which is that is
Yeah.
one of the top three most important things. And so even if it's a clumsy conversation, have it, just muddle through it. Be like, oh, better that, again, it's my opinion. You have to do what's right for your family. And I understand religion plays a big part of it. Nobody's more I grew up in a fundamental Catholic home. I get it. There's the intersection there. You're trying to do the right thing by your religion, whether get Jew, Muslim, Christian, Hindu. I get it. It's a lot to manage. We like to think that everyone will wait till marriage and then everything will be fine. That'd be great. Cool. But let's be honest. I mean, and so how do you have a conversation? And even if I don't know, even if you just said like, hey, you should just wait till marriage, and because that's what we do. All right, better that than you said nothing ever. So at least open the door, and maybe your kid will come back with and retort and say, well, mom or dad, this is what. So better something than nothing. Better.
Yeah.
So kudos to my parents. I mean, at least they said, God wants you to wait till marriage or else you're going to hell. Okay, it was bad, it was sloppy, it was clumsy, but at least they, I guess, said something. I mean, but yeah, I guess start the ball rolling, but
just even ask them if they have any questions.
Right, they'll say no, but again, right, open that door, get it rolling, or talk about, hey, look, I see what's on the internet, I see what's on Instagram, I see what's on the television. Oh my gosh, again, on the people should be able to wear whatever they want. That's not necessarily the sex talk, but it's about sexuality. Right. Everyone should be respected. Or you could just talk about the permission thing. Hey, don't assume somebody wants to kiss you. That's kind of a sex talk of sorts. Get the ball rolling. And yeah, I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, like I said, you have to do what's right for you and your family. But and this conversation you and I had too. I'm not exactly super comfortable with it, but I was like, yeah, you know what? More people need to talk about it in an earnest, honest way. And again, we're all clumsy. We're all messing up. We're all trying our best. None of us are God. None of us are perfect, so we're doing the best we can for our kids, for their health, for their wellness. And I think it's important, and it's incumbent upon us parents to do that. And also, whatever, if an aunt or uncle is close to you, or a grandparent, my grandparents co-raised me, I mean, they didn't have a conversation with me, but they were that close, they could have, and it would have been great if they did. I might not want to have heard it. It'd be like, no, which means Italian grandparents, I would have been, no, but at least, anyways, my point is it takes a village. And if you're close enough to your family member, maybe to have that conversation, maybe, maybe check with the parents or whatever, or if you're raising the kid. But Steph, was there anything in closing that you wanted to mention? Because we're coming up on an hour, so I'm glad we took the extra half hour. But was there anything you wanted to add, or because I know I chit chat. I could have gotten Chatterbox in high school. I was down by 2 votes. My friend Paul beat me to it. Like, son of a, I could have been the Chatterbox.
I don't know how you didn't.
I think it was rigged, by the way. I don't want to say there was a coup d'etat, because I already had one like Class Clown and Most Unforgettable and Homecoming King, and I have a feeling the powers that be, I probably won, but whatever. Give it to Paul. He wants to be a Chatterbox. Go ahead. You can't. I'm not stingy. But
look at you going back in time.
That's it. Al Bundy.
No, I just think in closing, I think just what we've been talking about all along. Yes, you have to do what's right for your family. You know your child better than anybody else does. That's the truth. But I think if you just keep the door open, have the dialogue, have it often, because it's not just one conversation, like you said, I think that's important.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree, Steph, and thanks for coming on. And every Monday, Mommy Mondays, Steph's getting a big ego now. She's like, I have my own show, Mommy Mondays. But yeah, no, thank you so much. And again, it's an ongoing thing, conversation, and hopefully this might spark up something. Who knows? Hey, maybe watch the video with your kids, and or not. It's up to you. But yeah, so thanks everybody. Tune in. We have a bunch of shows coming up this week and next week. We have someone that is competing in their first strongman competition, which is kind of like an Olympic thing. He's from Pal Park, this guy, our old hometown, and he'll be on. We have Dr. Magnus coming on Wednesday. We have another nutritionist coming on, I think tomorrow. We have some fitness trainers coming on. We're going to get some psychologists on too about different things, and of course, Mommy Mondays. And so, yeah, I hope that this can be a portal or something, vehicle that people can just, if anybody has any topic ideas, you can DM me and contact me for any ideas you might want to have us talk about in this show or other shows. But Steph, thank you so much as always.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thank you everybody. I'm going to end this broadcast in 3, 2, 1. Sayonara.